Well, hello, everybody. Today we have with us Dan Ruh, who is Executive Vice President and Market Leader in the Cincinnati market for Neyer. Dan, thanks for giving me some of your time today.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
You bet. Well, we've seen Neyer has had a long history in the greater Cincinnati real estate market, and you've been there a long time as well. But maybe first off, give us some of your background and where you came from and how you got into this industry.
Sure. So I started out about 25 years ago working for a REIT out of Indianapolis, and most of my development experience was on the north side of town. I migrated to Neyer about 12 years ago and joined the executive team. And about 7 years ago, I helped take the company from a fifth generation owned family business to an ESOP. So we are an ESOP, and we are 126 years old. So we are a design, build, developer. Always going to be based out of Cincinnati.
And you're a Kenton County lifelong resident?
I am. So I am a sixth generation Kenton County resident.
And grew up in Fort Wright area. You now live in Fort Wright, correct?
I now live in Fort Wright. I grew up in Fort Mitchell. Yes.
Fort Mitchell. Okay, very good. So this is we've been talking to so many people about their different areas of expertise, and you surely have this one in real estate. Let's talk about the impacts of some of your projects. First off, and some of the exciting things you've been doing. Comes to mind is the Showcase Cinema site that has just been booming. Talk to us about that project and how that got started, what made it happen, et cetera.
Sure. So, I mean, obviously I grew up going to Showcase Cinema. I remember literally going to see Star Wars there.
Mm-hmm.
That'll kind of date ourselves here a little bit. When the Showcase Cinema shut down, I mean, everybody and their brother took a hard look at that, and it was a very challenging site. I mean, most people don't know that it has a gas main, a high pressure gas main going through the middle of it. Although the whole site is about 135 acres, I'd say maybe 25 to 30% of the site is undevelopable, terrain just by topo. And so I looked at it when I was working for the REIT, and then it kind of shut down for a while with the Great Recession. And then when things heated back up, we took a hard run at it and dug in and figured it out. It had a lot of hair on it. Let's just put it that way.
Absolutely. Well, in the entire site, you've ended up, is it all built out at this point? And what have you actually been able to develop?
It is. So, yeah, so it's a 3-building complex. The first big tenant to show up was the Novalex, which was Durabag, and Perfetti. They filled the first building, which is about 800,000 square feet. The third tenant to show up was Coca-Cola, kind of an expansion and relocation for Coca-Cola. And then the fourth tenant in the third building, the third building is just under 600,000 square feet, wow, is Amazon. Yeah, Amazon. I'm not sure if that's public info yet or not, but Amazon's moving into that building, and they're a great tenant.
I just saw a giant sign on there about a week ago, so it is public. They put a sign up, so
right.
So something like that, a development like that is critical when things are booming, and obviously we've got a monstrous development with Amazon at the airport and all the offshoots of the impacts of that. What is it? How do you get things developed, and what's the difference today, maybe years ago? And is there maybe a mindset difference that we've got to have in terms of development? What's that all look like?
Yeah. So I think that I really want to tip my hat to Erlanger in general. Erlanger was super proactive from a pro-business and pro-development perspective, and that really kind of came from the leadership of Tyson Hermes at the time, Mark Fields, who was the city manager at the time, and a guy named David Hahn, who was the economic development director. And the three of them really helped to establish what is, people don't really know what this is, but it's a TIF IRB structure, which essentially the developer loans money to the project, if you will, for public infrastructure, right-of-way, detention, et cetera, and is paid back over time. And they basically were super to work with, and they're very proactive. And the city council was also very proactive too. I mean, that the city council, one of the leaders on there, Randy Blankenship, I recall, basically saw the vision and said, we want development. And one of the things that they embraced, Kris, was that development brings more development. And so we started out with a Showcase Cinema and moved over to Viox and did a build-to-suit for Atlas Air, which is another company that works with Amazon, and they're a fantastic company. Fantastic company.
Well, it's a beautiful building, and the yellow center spire, I've seen that on the Atlas building, looks sharp. So, you got to be proactive. You got to be supportive of developers and the companies coming in. And that's when times are great, right? But also we're in a very unique year. What's the market look like now? And are you seeing, users still calling you up and either build-to-suits or et cetera? Are you seeing that happening in a strong way, or what does the market look like right now?
Well, so we noticed a slowdown in office. We had a couple clients that hit the pause button. And right now there's a little bit of flux with, okay, how much are we going to be working from home? How much are we going to be working from the office? And I think that, for 21, we're going to be kind of in that flux for a while. I kind of grew up in the business, if you will, as an office developer. That's my kind of first suit. And office development has slowed down considerably, where the light industrial has picked up. And we're in the sweet spot of light industrial. People talk about Amazon all the time, which Amazon is great. And there's a lot of satellite businesses that follow Amazon, but people don't talk about DHL. DHL is huge. They're another great company, and they hire a lot of people, and there are a lot of businesses that follow DHL.
Indeed.
And we just don't talk about DHL as much, but they're another great client.
And their investment's been hundreds of millions of dollars for a long time for this region, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things, Kris, that if you look at what UPS did for Louisville, you think about all this peripheral satellite businesses that followed Louisville over the past, I don't know, 2 or 3 decades almost. And, UPS alone, they drive a significant chunk of business, but there are a lot of businesses that service UPS and will located in Louisville because of UPS. And we've only seen the tip of the iceberg with Amazon. And I'm wholeheartedly believe that. And I've worked really hard to basically find development opportunities around CVG, just to kind of feed that demand.
Great point. So that's a great lead in to, for those of us who don't live and breathe economic development in terms of construction every day, and their average resident in Northern Kentucky, we go down the highway, we see green space, we see trees, we see places right along the road that might be developable. What's your perspective on, do we have the available land and property for the market today like we want to have, or is it something we need to look towards to have it available, or is that just something we just let the market play out and see what happens? And how are we competitive in the market, in the region, et cetera?
Yeah, so I like to say that we deal with the Kentucky flat issue, right? So it means we have a topo issues. So Al and I we develop in Northern Ohio, we develop in Pittsburgh, we develop in Raleigh and Nashville, and Kentucky is challenging. I mean, Pittsburgh is also challenging, but we are constrained by developable sites, and we do have some development land, if you will, or inventory out there, but the infrastructure has yet to get there, right? And I always look to the proactive business community to help influence the leaders like yourself to help put the infrastructure in place to get to that land inventory, if you will, and put it toward a higher and better use.
So, and when you say that, I mean, obviously we're talking roads, you're talking water, sewer,
Yes.
And the other reality, I guess, there behind it is I've, talked to you and other experts about this, is that being available, if the owner is willing to sell and the infrastructure is not there, you still don't have a connection, because most of your clients, I guess, as I think you shared, want to make a decision fairly quickly. This is not a 5-year window that they're looking to have something done.
Right. Yes, you really have to have the opportunity teed up pretty high. I mean, Atlas Air on Viox, which is now Atlas Airway, that was teed up and ready to go. And if you don't have the inventory in place ready to go from a land position, you're going to miss. They're going to go somewhere else. They'll go to Mason or Butler County or something like that up and on.
And is that because those other communities have done that, teeing it up, or is it?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. I think that they put the infrastructure in place and planned ahead for progress. And we're seeing that now, Kris, to be honest. I mean, I think that, the infrastructure that's coming with the 75 improvement and like the Mount Zion interchange and the Richwood interchange, if you will. Like Mount Zion is going to open up a good chunk of Kenton County that I think is going to, that's the place to be in the future.
Well, and the 536 corridor is so critical for the region. So I guess in the last kind of an educational point for all of us, we sometimes think that any land is developable, but speak to the issue of access to the expressway. That's an interesting insight that you've shared with me over the past. How close you need to be to expressway, exit ramps, that kind of thing.
Right. So I've looked at sites that have multiple traffic lights, and you really, I mean, that's very challenging for some of the interior sites that we deal with, Kenton County, residents, and it's not just the distance, but it's the speed to the site, if you will, and some of the visibility issues from a main artery, and some of these things we're not going to be able to overcome, right? But I mean, and that plays to office, light industrial, and residential to a certain degree. I mean, you think about what we're seeing in Covington. I'd like to just comment on that because we're digging in on a multifamily project in Covington, and I'm super excited about where Covington's heading. You think about these three nodes of development in Covington with the Mainstrasse and Duveneck and the Roebling bridge area, and I think that they're going to generate more downstream economic development for all of Covington. So I'm pretty excited about it. I'm super excited to be a Kenton County resident, to say the least.
Well, the balance of all this development, I know you're a key part of that, and I know you like good competition. There's a lot of great other players out there that are doing good projects, and it is good to see things booming, even in a crazy world like this COVID year. I guess as we wrap up, Dan, if there was one additional thing or one thing you'd share, or you think that, hey, I really wish Kenton County knew about what I see every day, that you see maybe some of us just don't catch on to in terms of real estate development, et cetera. Is there any perspective that you think, hey, I really wish people knew that this was something was happening or is out there?
From a pure development standpoint, huh?
Yeah, and you're obviously a local guy. You see the big picture.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited about the general entrenchment and good rooftops. I mean, I often joke, Kris, that Northern Kentucky is like the West Side but South, right? I mean, somebody like me that's been there, multiple generations, we tend to go away to school and come back and build community, right? And stay in that and grow the community. And that's a good thing. And I think that we're, the secret sauce, if you will, of Kenton County is that we're welcoming. I think that we're welcoming to new folks coming in and settling down. And that's a unique, I think that's just a unique thing of Northern Kentucky.
Well said. Well, Dan, thanks for spending a little bit of time with me. And again, congratulations on the continued success of your company and your team there. And looking forward to some great projects like the one coming along, hopefully in Covington here, and everything else that you're doing.
Thank you, Kris. Have a great day.